Have you ever felt like everyone else around you is miles ahead of you, yet you are stuck working, grinding in the exact same place? Well, if that's the case, then it might be that comparison is sabotaging how you feel about yourself, and it's sabotaging your performance. So that is exactly what we're going to be talking about, of how this tendency to compare might be keeping you stuck. So my name is Mario Minert. I'm a performance coach for business owners and entrepreneurs who are struggling with mental blocks and barriers and self-sabotage that prevent them from breaking through to the next level. And this topic of comparison is something that I have struggled with in the past, and it's something that I keep seeing as a trend in some of the sessions that I have with my clients. So first, what I want to do is I want to describe, like, why is this the case, how it is a negative influence on us, and ultimately how, if this is something that you struggle with, how you can reframe comparison and then use it as something that can actually help you break through to the next level. So first, like, why does this even happen? Well, first of all, as humans, we want to know how we're doing. So we want to know that we're doing a good job. So how do we know that we're doing a good job? Or like, how do we know how well we're actually doing? Well, we typically look to other people to see if we're ahead of them or behind them or kind of in the middle. And so the place where we typically go to look for this is something like this: social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever it is. And we go to social media to look at the lives that are presented and look at how we're doing relative to that. Another place that you can do this is in your working environment or other communities that you're a part of. I'm a part of a lot of different entrepreneurial communities of other business owners who are growing their coaching businesses. And this is typically where we go. And so the first thing I want to share is, like, this is kind of like a little bit of a natural human tendency to just look at other people to see how we're doing. But it is definitely something that can be sabotaging your performance if you're constantly looking to other people and comparing where you're at compared to where they are at. And this happens in a lot of different ways. I see it a lot with high performers who are currently struggling and they're in a rut. When you are in a rut and you're in a low place, you start kind of looking to other people to see how they are doing as well. And especially when you're in a rut and you're in a low and you start to look at other people and you see that they're winning, that is the trap that makes everything so much worse, because you're stuck in a rut, you're in a plateau, but it almost feels like everybody else is ahead of you. Everybody else is making it look easy. And the thing that I want you to understand is, if you find that this is a tendency, this is probably the thing that's making you feel really shitty about yourself. This is the thing that's making you feel like a failure, and it's time to reframe that. Now, quickly, like, this is the thing that is probably making you feel self-doubt. This is probably the thing that's making you feel defeated, discouraged. This is the thing that's making you feel like a failure. And so it can really have negative consequences if we're not aware of how this is happening. And this can even show up not just when you're in a rut or when you're in a low, but actually when you're winning. Because even when you're winning, you compare yourself to somebody else who is winning at an even higher level. And so this shows up in a lot of different ways. And this is something that I personally used to struggle with as I was in the early stage of growing my business. I'm in a group with a bunch of other coaches who are also growing their businesses. Some of them have been doing it for 4 or 5 or 6 years, whereas I'm just like a couple years into this, and they are making insane wins daily, weekly, monthly. And anytime I would compare my results of where I was at in a lower month compared to them, it really made me feel pretty shitty about myself. It made me feel like maybe I should do something else. I should be further ahead. Like, trust me, I know how hard this can be. Another one of my clients came to me earlier in the year. He is a high performer, but he was struggling in a rut, in a low. And he mentioned that one of the things that would just make it worse is anytime he would see some of his colleagues, who some of them were his friends, anytime he would see them win, it was almost like being kicked when you're down. So I think this is something that it's a natural human tendency, but it is something that we can control. So the first thing is to recognize that you're doing it. Another step is to figure out what are the things that are specifically causing it. But there is a way to reframe all of this, because let's pretend that you are actually in a rut, or let's assume that you might be not exactly where you want to be. And if this is something that you struggle with, is looking to other people instead of looking to somebody else and seeing their win and thinking, gosh, why is it that it's so easy for them and it's so hard for me? Maybe you could reframe it and look at that other person who's winning and reframe it to think, if they're winning and they're figuring it out, then that means that I can too. So anytime you start to see somebody else, maybe it's somebody in a similar space as you, anytime you see them winning, view that as a good thing, because what it means is that if they can do it, then so can I. If they are winning, then it's almost like they're giving you the gift of belief, and they're giving you the path. They're giving you a way that shows you that you can do it too. And so this is a very subtle shift, but instead of viewing comparison as something that is a bad thing, take that comparison and view it as inspiration. When you take something and you view it as inspiration, then it's actually energizing. And it's such a simple shift, but trust me, if you try this, it's going to change everything for you. And it actually just feels good. And it comes from like a completely different energy. There's an energy over here of competition where it's like, I am working against you and I'm trying to crush you. But then there's also this spirit of collaboration. This is where like we're working together. And if you really have an abundance mindset, if you really believe in the magnitude and the power and the possibilities, then of course it makes sense that somebody else can succeed and you can as well. And so that's kind of like the biggest reframe and the biggest shift that I want to encourage you to have if you're stuck in this place of comparison, which leads to sabotage. What you can do, as I bring it back to you, if you're somebody who struggles with this, take that comparison and reframe it and take it as inspiration. And know that if they can do it, then so can you. So this is just a super simple mindset shift that you can make. But if you find that comparison is something that is like really throwing you off, it's something that's sending you into a very negative spiral, and that's sabotaging how you're showing up. It's leading to you not feeling motivated to do the things that you know that you need to do. Then go ahead and follow me on Instagram and just send me a DM and let me know that this is something you struggle with, and we'll start the conversation. I can send over some resources that can help. See you all in the next one.